So it's day 2 of NLSDays 2023, and we have quite a few interesting interviews coming up today. We'll be talking to several different VCs. We'll be talking to Novo Holdings. We'll be talking also to Business Sweden, Business Iceland. We're going to be talking to representatives from the Netherlands, from SwedenBIO. So a lot of exciting things coming up today, and we hope you will follow along with us. So we're at NLSDays 2023, and we're in front of the Citeline booth, and I'm joined by Daniel Chancellor. Well, thank you, Daniel, for joining us for this interview today.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a pleasure to speak to you guys, and I'm loving the energy that we have here in Copenhagen at Nordic Life Science Days. It's been so good so far.
Yeah, it's amazing energy. And well, could we start by telling us a little bit about what Citeline does?
Yeah, so we're here in front of Citeline's booth. Citeline, at its heart, is a data provider, competitive intelligence to the pharmaceutical and biotech and wider life science space. So we'll collect data from across a whole range of different sources, hundreds of thousands of sources, whether that's around financing, deal making, clinical trials, drug pipelines. This is very, very valuable information because it then allows companies in this space to basically make smarter decisions. They can look at what's gone before, they can predict what's going to happen in the future, and then to basically optimize their strategy to get the best outcome, whether that's for themselves or investors or indeed for patients.
So you provide very valuable information for companies, of course. Have you had companies reach out to you in these couple of days here at NLSDays?
Yeah, always. I mean, this is a great place to do business. It allows us to get closer to our clients. Copenhagen in Denmark, or the Nordic space in particular, has been a real area of growth. I mean, all triggered by the growth of Novo Nordics, but the whole ecosystem around it. So in terms of the companies like us who work closely with biotechs and with farmers, it's great to have the opportunity to come to Copenhagen and then meet and greet face to face. Just breaks down barriers that might otherwise there if you're just doing email and phone calls, that kind of stuff.
And more specifically about fundraising, how does Citeline work with fundraising and the data that comes out of that?
Yeah, so we'll track the fundraising information. We'll scour the web. We'll get as much information as we can. Anytime a company is raising capital from its investors, whether that's VCs, whether that's on the public markets, we'll collate all that information and basically load up our databases. And we've been doing this for years and years, if not decades and decades. So we're sitting on basically a gold mine of information about innovative biotech space, how they're partnering, how they're fundraising. I've been really, privileged to be invited to speak at in the keynote session yesterday morning, and I shared some of this information on fundraising in the Nordics because it's a really nice success story. If we just look at life science companies that are headquartered in the Nordics, the amount they've been able to raise for their investors has been growing and growing and growing. In particular, in 2023, we're expecting around 4 billion total fundraising activities, which is a new record in the Nordics. And this is despite, at the global level, biotech remains very, very challenged. So Nordics has a new peak. Globally, we're actually about 50% below what the records that were achieved in the pandemic. So there's something cooking in the Nordics. Investors liking what they see. Companies are able to approach the markets and raise capital when elsewhere it's been more of a challenge. So, I mean, there's probably a whole thesis or a PhD you could do there in terms of uncovering the exact reasons why, but it's definitely a hot part of the industry at the moment.
So have you gotten some good feedback here at the event?
Well, that's a great story. The people will wear that like a badge of honor. Everyone likes to hear that their home base or home city is doing well. Yeah, it's a good message to tell. And sometimes as Citeline, we are as impartial as it gets. So obviously we work with clients, but we work with a lot of our clients, so we kind of have to. But we're trusted to provide that kind of impartial view. So when we come in and asked to give a presentation, sometimes the messages aren't quite as well received or as optimistic or positive. So actually, it's really nice to be able to come in and just share the good news because the Nordics is succeeding where other parts of the world may be struggling.
We're here in front of the Netherlands booth at NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by Bjorn Ursing. Welcome, Bjorn.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, what do you do, and what brings you in front of the Netherlands booth?
So I'm heading a life science and health initiative at the Netherlands Embassy in Stockholm. So we're here at the Nordic Life Science Days to present the Dutch life science community for this audience. So, and we put together this booth to have like a lounge for everybody to come and hang around and discuss with our companies.
Uh-huh. And what does the Netherlands have to offer in terms of life science?
So in this first instance, we brought here, I'd say 30, 40 Dutch life science research service providers. So the ones you meet here are mainly service providers, everything from CROs, that is in contract research, clinical research organizations, all the way to marketing. Otherwise, there are several very strong research areas. You have Leiden, you have Utrecht, you have Eindhoven, so many. So there's lots happening in Leiden, in the Netherlands.
And I guess there's strong potential for partnerships between the Netherlands and Swedish companies and Danish, Nordic companies in general?
Oh yes, actually more than you'd think. About a year ago we had a state visit to Sweden from the Netherlands, and at the time we made 4 MOUs between counterparts. 2 of those are between CROs. And one of them are actually being extremely well developing. So yes, it's a very good ground for collaboration.
Well, that's great to hear, and thank you so much for joining us for this short Q&A, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference today, and best of luck for the partnerships between the Netherlands and the Nordics.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me be on this what do you call it? Show?
This interview.
Interview, yes. Thank you anyway.
Thank you. I'm joined by João Ribas. Sorry, let me start over. I forgot your name. We're here at NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by João Ribas from Novo Holdings. João, it's nice to meet you and nice to talk to you. Could you tell us, in general, what does Novo Holdings do? What is your mission?
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here. Novo Holdings is a large life sciences investor. We invest across all stages of company development, and we're really known by our expertise within the life sciences space. I am particularly part of the seed investments team, and we are focusing mostly on creating the next unicorns within the biotech space.
And what brings you to NLSDays?
It's an historical event. It's the 10th year anniversary, so we had to be here. We're also an investor that's headquartered in Copenhagen, so the Nordics are extremely important for us. So we could not miss the opportunity to be here amongst all our peers and people from outside that come and see what's so special about the Nordic ecosystem.
You moderated an event about business strategy. Could you tell us about how that went?
I think it went really well. We had a very good set of panelists that brought in various different perspectives. So we had someone coming from a pharma company, someone coming from a diagnostics company doing personalized medicine, other people coming from the IP angle and the personalized cancer vaccine company. So that really allows us to have a very intricate conversation about what matters for a company strategy. Of course, everyone has a different perspective. IPR, so IP strategy is very important. Making the right decisions in a company is very important. And I think what we can distill from that is that you have to make decisions early on based on what you think are the potential scenarios for your company, and that can really lead you to get to the right place. So strategy became kind of trying to make the best decision or the most informed decision with information that you have and the ever-changing landscape that surrounds you.
Did you have good feedback after that session?
Very good feedback. I think several people approached us. They felt like it was very helpful. We've also ran a series of questions during the panel. So that was very interesting to engage the audience in that process. One of the questions was around what impacts the most strategy in a company. And we had various things from market conditions to technology, but the number one was clearly the economic scenario, so the financing status of the company. And that, I think, to me, really highlights that strategy is something that you need to do on a good day when you have money in the company, and really plan for what are the potential scenarios that we can be in, so that we are able to take decisions even when you're in a scenario where there's less financing. What are your other options? So it was very interesting to see, perhaps synonym of the current market conditions where funding has been a little bit low. People are concerned with the public market, so maybe some of the companies participating in the audience were concerned about the status of their own companies.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of companies here appreciated having people like you to give your input and advice for business strategy, at least.
Well, we hope that we can help in a different way. I think we're very experienced around the creation of new companies. So we've always been at that early stage where strategy is so crucial, where we have to think about many different potential scenarios. So hopefully that came through during the panel, and hopefully through the interactions that we and our team had with other companies here at NLSDays would allow them to at least learn something new or take something back that they could think about and maybe discuss at the next board meeting.
Well, it's so great to talk to you, João, and thank you for joining us for this conversation. And, well, the event is just about over, but we wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you very much, Michael. It was very nice to be here in this 10-year anniversary. And if there's maybe one thing that I would want to leave you with, is that someone said in the panel that we had yesterday that stayed with me, strategy is destiny. So if you're a company, go out there and fulfill your destiny.
Let's keep that in mind for sure. Well, thank you so much again. I'm joined by AnaCardio from Pureos Bioventures. Is that correct? Anna, please tell us a little bit more about Pureos.
Yeah, Pureos, we are a Swiss-based venture capital company investing into drug development companies with a focus on Europe. So 80% of our investments are in Europe, but also in US or Asia. And we really do a quite balanced portfolio with preclinical investments and clinical investments.
And what brings you to NLSDays?
Honestly, Copenhagen is anyway always like worth a visit, but no, I mean, we see is that the Nordics are getting really strong in the biotech sector. You get more and more startups coming from Denmark, from Sweden and Norway, and it's a great opportunity to meet them. And besides this one, also the investor environment is really growing. You have very strong, well-known funds here in the Nordics, and it's for us also a great opportunity to meet them, to catch up, see what they are observing in their environment, and yeah, it's a nice place to be.
Did you get some good feedback here at the event?
Feedback?
Or have some good meetings? Did you attend any interesting workshops? What's been your experience here at the event?
No, I think it's a really nice one because you really have like a full cover from like manufacturing to service providers, like really affairs, but then really good pharma companies joining in. We had good meetings there, meeting other investors and catching up and seeing where we might have some alignments, and also interesting companies which we didn't know before, and that's something we will definitely look deeper.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your your investment strategy, perhaps?
So we are the investment strategy is very focused. I mean, what we are doing is we are really selecting what we see as good science, which is really going on the unmet medical need. So we're covering all the major areas: oncology, immunology, fibrosis, but also infectious disease. It's one of our Danish investments which is placed there. And really we are trying to cover the whole chain. So we are partners in a Swiss-based incubator, which is really crucial for seeing for us like the science coming out of university, translational very early but innovative science. We're really happy to see it. And then like really going into the stages where we're more on the company creation, helping companies, shaping them, giving directions. But we're also going into clinical stage companies where we may have a specific interest in the indications they are going. We can help with our network network and trying to be balanced. And for me, being more a junior person in the whole industry, it's also great to see both sides, from early investments to later stages, because it is different investment hypothesis at the end.
And finally, if you could give us your opinion on what is the cornerstone of a successful life science investment.
I guess, if I would know the answer to this one, it would be perfect and we would just have exits. At the end, I don't believe, it's one thing you can look at. What we are trying to really check in on our due diligence process, which is usually really deep, with a lot of calls and going and discussions, it's trying to cover everything. At the end, we are looking to develop products, drug products. So the assets, the technology is crucial. You need to have really good technologies. But then it's all around this, the team dynamic and how you grow the team to really move the project forward. And then you have also more like the legal point, what's the IP protection, competition and everything. So I guess there's nothing, but you just want to find this one investment where you feel for the moment you do the investment, you feel it's the best package you can get, and keep it together, and then together with the company really try to move it towards the success.
So we're here at the Iceland booth at NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by Erna Björnsdottir. Welcome, Erna. It's so nice to talk to you today. And could you tell us a little bit more about Iceland Business?
Yeah, so Business Iceland is a sort of a private-public partnership, and our role is to promote Iceland and basically everything Icelandic in the world, to raise the awareness of Iceland in the world. So be it Iceland as a tourist destination or a source for goods and services. We're also trying to attract foreign investment into Iceland. So, as I said, our mission is to raise the awareness of Iceland, because our surveys have shown that people know waterfalls and glaciers, and they know gender equality, and that our living standard is high. But when it comes to business and business environment, we need to do better. So we are trying to go out in the world, make platforms like this for our companies to promote themselves and meet with potential partners or investors. So and our mission is to sort of we pave the way and they follow and sell and sell their services and products.
And in those terms, would you say this Congress, NLSDays, has been a success in that sense?
We think it's a success. Some of the companies, I brought with me 6 companies from Iceland, and they're all here to meet with investors. They find NLSDays, and especially this version, very sophisticated, and they've had many good meetings. So some have had more than others. But I think everyone has found or had meetings that they believe is just the start of a conversation with an investor. So in my opinion, that's a success. If you can initiate the conversation with an investor, and hopefully that will lead to something later on.
Mm-hmm. Is there, I don't want to get into too many specifics, but is there a specific life science sector where Iceland is strongest, would you say?
We have been strong in pharma, like generics. There used to be a company called Actavis, was acquired by Teva, and on the basis of that, the former employees bought the production facilities and are now producing and developing drugs. And then we have a large company, Alvotech, which is making biosimilars. And then there's perhaps a special niche where we are really strong, because our fishing industry has been the backbone of our economy for many years. But now we need to diversify and be less dependent on our natural resources. So we have a company called Kerecis, which was recently acquired by a Danish Coloplast, and they use cod skin to make grafts for wounds that won't heal, focusing on burn wounds and diabetes wounds. And that's a perfect example of how a traditional industry can be modernized and made high-tech with know-how and R&D.
I'm joined by Albin Bowman, CEO and founder at ANYO Labs. Welcome, Albin.
Thank you.
Well, it's good to talk to you. First of all, could you tell us a little bit about ANYO Labs? What do you do?
Of course. So ANYO Labs is a spin-out company from the University of Gothenburg, where we are incorporating novel AI tools for computational drug discovery. We mainly have algorithms that can generate brand new chemistry, mainly small molecules. We can predict stuff like binding affinity and also ADMET properties to ensure that only the best compounds are the ones you start working on.
Mm-hmm. And what brings you to NLSDays today?
I mean, this is the great event to meet the industry and understand where the life science is going. For me, I don't have a background in chemistry or biologics, so it's very, very just thoughtful to be here and interact with all of these fantastic people.
Mm-hmm. And are you expecting to meet anybody specific at this event?
I mean, we have some very interesting meetings booked with potential partners and even customers. So I'm mainly looking forward to those. I have some meetings with investors whom I met before, but we'll see what they have to say today.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Finally, would you say you are riding the AI wave here with this company?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there is for sure, AI is a buzzword, obviously. But we have a lot of research to rely on in our back end. Like the research that we're trying to incorporate is based on 3 years of academic high quality research. So we're very confident in what we do works. It's not just a buzzword.
So we're here at the Swedish booth, and I'm joined by Britta Stensson and Anna Redwood from Business Sweden. Welcome to both of you. It's nice to talk to you both. Could you tell us a little bit about Business Sweden and what you do?
Yes, sure. So Business Sweden is the Trade and Invest Council of Sweden, and we are a semi-governmental organization focusing on helping Swedish companies grow globally, but also attracting foreign investment into Sweden.
Mm-hmm. And what brings you to NLSDays?
Well, we're here to meet with all the life science companies, and we're here with this Swedish booth together with the regional partners that we're having from Stockholm, Skåne and Gothenburg, and also from Karolinska Science Park, Health Tech Nordic and COAX. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you received some good feedback? Have you had some interesting meetings while you've been here?
Yes, definitely. We've had both meetings with companies and with investors. The climate is difficult to finding investments right now for life science companies, but I feel that it's been a very good meeting, a lot of good meetings taking place just outside here in the area, obviously, but also in the partnering booths.
Yeah. And is there a specific meeting, let's say, that you're looking forward to today, or...?
Well, we're having lots of good meetings, like Britta said, and we are realizing the importance of collaboration between Sweden as a nation and between all the small companies and the big companies. So that's what we really find when we're here. So it's really great.
I'm joined by Simon Molgaard from Teitur Trophics. Teitur Trophics. What does Teitur Trophics do? Where does the name come from?
So thank you. So Teitur is a spin-out from biomedicine at Aarhus University. We create novel therapeutics for treating diseases such as Parkinson and Huntington's disease. And when we set up the company, we wanted something that really linked to our Nordic heritage. And the Teitur is Old Nordic for happiness, or sort of creating the feeling of happiness. So we thought that was a good motivation to aim at creating happiness for patients and their relatives.
That's very nice. And what brings you to NLSDays?
So we raised our Series A in March this year. So we are here to continue conversations with our network, talk to investors for future investments, but also talk to pharma companies, hopefully with the aim of collaborating with them in the future.
And you participated in a workshop today, or maybe it was yesterday. It's called Pride and Prejudice. Are VCs and startups on the same page? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so the idea was to have a sort of an open communication or an open forum where we could discuss the biases seen from each side between how do founders look at investors and how does investors look at founders, and there was a lot of interesting topics being discussed. One of them, of course, is that there is some kind of if you consider sort of a dating process, there is some kind of unbalance in that dating because you have one program and you really wanted the investors to engage with your program, but at the same time they look at many different programs. So how do you actually get that communication across, and how do you ensure that you have an open communication in that process?
Yeah. Did you get good feedback after the workshop?
Yes, it was very interesting, and a lot of interesting comments from the audience as well. So that was really good. A lot of prejudice and bias, so that was good to talk about it.
I'm joined by Jacob Moresco of Sunstone. Well, Jacob, it's so nice to talk to you today. Could you tell us a little bit about Sunstone and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, nice to meet you. So Sunstone is a Danish venture fund. We've been around since 2007, and we invest in biotech companies across Europe. So only drug development, typically Series A. So when founders come to us with an animal proof of concept, that is when we like to see them. And then we build strong syndicates of like-minded investors and take the companies, hopefully, until the proof of concept in patients, where we hope to partner the companies. So we are investing out of our fourth fund right now. It's just below 100 million euro. And with that fund, we hope to make a portfolio of a total of maybe 12 companies across Europe.
All right, very good. And what brings you to NLSDays?
So a couple of things. First of all, to meet the companies, get updates from companies that we already know, meet investors, meet friends. As I mentioned to you earlier, we typically see the people again and again throughout the years. So it's so nice to come back and meet familiar faces, get updates, and both look for new investment opportunities. But also meet with investors and talk about opportunities they've seen and how we can potentially collaborate on new investment opportunities.
And you participated in a workshop. You were on a panel in a workshop. It was called Pride and Prejudice, VCs versus startups. Are they on the same page? Something like that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's an amazing association called YVC. Basically, the young VCs of Europe has come together and made a group of people doing different kind of events at the different conferences. And I think the nice thing about them, they're maybe a little bit more energetic and creative than the older people in the VC industry, so they tend to spark a little fire at the events. And at this very specific panel debate, they try to get away from a very dull... the panel debates where people just say what is expected of them. So they try to bring in a little more controversial subjects, maybe, or at least have a debate between the VCs and the founders of the companies. So we had different topics on the agenda, like different opinions on valuations, for example, diversity within VC, diversity within portfolio companies. So really, at least from the panel perspective, entertaining debate, I think. I'm curious to hear what the audience think.
Well, and finally, just a question about... life science investments. What would you say is the cornerstone of a successful life science investment from your perspective?
It sounds simple. A successful investment will eventually reach the market and reach the patients, so bring a therapeutic benefit to the patients. Obviously, we would like to partner the opportunities before that, and as I mentioned, that's typically at the proof of concept in patients. So that is the successful investment from our perspective, but in the end it has to reach the market, otherwise it's not successful.
So we're on the exhibition stage at NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by Maja Neyman, Science Director at SwedenBIO. Welcome, Maja.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell us a little bit about SwedenBIO, its responsibilities, and what you're doing here at NLSDays?
Yeah, sure. So SwedenBIO is the national industry organization for life science companies in Sweden. So we currently represent about 340 life science companies, and we take a big pride in that we represent life science companies in the entire diversity of life sciences. So everything from pharma, medtech, biotech, but also service providers and additional, more distant service providers such as investors and banks and lawyers and patent firms and such, because we see that they are so crucial to create this ecosystem.
Mm. And what's your mission here at NLSDays?
So we're actually organizing NLSDays. Mm-hmm. So SwedenBIO works in 3 different branches, you may say. We create networks, we share knowledge, and we do policy work, so policy changes. And the Nordic Life Science Days is our prime networking event, so it's the absolutely largest event that we produce, and it's the only international event. But it's so crucial, and we do it in order to give a forum for our Nordic companies to actually show themselves to the world. So it has a very deep meaning and purpose for our members and also for this type of ecosystem that we represent. Mm-hmm.
Have you had some good feedback in general in these 2 days? What's your overall take of NLSDays this year?
Well, I've heard a lot of nice things, especially around this exhibition area that's always very vibrant. We actually had to open up the curtains here at the exhibition stage because there's been such a large crowd, especially to watch the pitch competition, where 30 selected SMEs are pitching, and these type of short and very intense presentations and inspirations. I really think that's the core of the Nordic Life Science Days, but also what's special about Nordic Life Science Days is that there are so many different aspects. You can go to the super sessions, we have the company presentations, we have this exhibition, and of course the partnering. And that's the heart for most of our visitors, I would say. Me as an organizer, I'm not that much in partnering because I don't have time. But I would say that these one-on-one meetings are really, that's when stuff happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, stepping outside of Nordic Life Science Days for a second, I'm curious about the general facilitation between academia and industry. Obviously, a lot of these companies, they develop from academia. Would you say that the environment to facilitate the transition from academia to industry is vibrant here in Sweden?
Absolutely. We have a very strong innovation culture in Sweden. We believe that it stems from, we have something that's called the teacher's exemption at Swedish universities, which means that the professor or the researcher owns its own IP rights of their inventions. So the university has nothing to say actually about commercializing any type of academic finding. With this said, so we have a big innovation culture that really empowers and encourages people to take the innovation path and to commercialize their findings. With that said, it relies very much on the individual. Mm-hmm. So we have super successful serial entrepreneurs that create several companies out of academic research, but we also see a limitation that certain professors that don't have the commercial interest or know-how, they can be a bit limited. So we're definitely missing out on a lot of potential commercializations also because it relies so much on the individual. So we're trying our best to support this in a different way. We work very closely to incubators and innovation offices at the universities, but we're also working together with the Swedish authorities, especially Vinnova, the Innovation Authority, to enable these types of projects to gather the funding, the seed funding that they really so desperately need to take on this journey.
If someone in academia were interested in commercializing their own product and they had no idea which route to take, could they contact SwedenBIO and have a discussion with you?
Yes, absolutely. We very much encourage that, and I would say that out of our member population we also represent a lot of these super early startups who are just starting on this transition. So we're very happy to support, even though it's hard to give any general advice since all companies are unique and all routes are unique, but we can most often support on when or who to contact to get help actually. We're also working very hard within our membership community to create this family feel and that allows for knowledge sharing also from the more experienced companies to the younger ones from different sizes, and to really have this sharing is caring type of mentality.
Well, thank you so much for your feedback today and for this great conversation. It was great meeting you, and we wish you all the best for the rest of the day here and the rest of the Congress.
Thank you so much.
We're here at NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by Patrick Stromberg from AnaCardio. Patrick, first of all, it's nice meeting you. It's good to have this conversation with you. Could you tell us a little bit about AnaCardio, what you do?
Well, thanks, Mike, and thanks for having me. At AnaCardio, we are developing a first-in-class new pharmacotherapy in heart failure. So we were founded based on groundbreaking research from Karolinska Institutet in Stockholm, and we're now exploiting that into developing a new contractile agent for heart failure.
And what brings you to NLSDays today?
I mean, NLSDays, I think, is a perfect place to meet your network. I mean, it's large enough so you will meet more or less everyone, but it's still intimate enough so you will have chance to talk also. So it's a nice event. I've participated in a few panels. We also were part of the pitch competition for the Nordic Star company, so that was fun.
How did that pitch go?
Well, it went okay. it was fun. It's also a nice opportunity for startups to get some exposure among investors and pharma companies, for example.
You mentioned the workshops. There was one workshop where about VCs versus startups. Could you tell us a little bit about that workshop and what kind of feedback you received at that workshop?
Yeah, it was interesting. So in the audience there were a mix of startups and investors, VCs, and we had a panel with three sort of CEOs from startup companies, and there were three investors. And I think the idea was it should be a bit provocative, so trying to line us up against each other, which it was a good discussion. Some of the questions that came up were, whether the valuations are fair and correct. How, questions like if the asset is the most important or the team and so forth. So I thought it was a good discussion.
As far as I understand it, there was also a poll question that put up what's the most important thing in a startup, a team or their asset or technology. And what was the answer to that poll question? What was the majority there?
Well, I think we were quite biotech-centric or therapeutic-centric. And of course, I would say the majority were leaning towards the asset, which, I mean, it's not clear-cut, both are almost equally important, but without a strong asset, you will not be successful. So I think we were in agreement there, both the startups and the investors, actually.
Okay, so there was some agreement between the startups and investors. That's good. Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for taking your time for this conversation, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the event here. wrapping up NLSDays 2023, and I'm joined by my colleagues Felix and Jonas. Felix, what are some key takeaways from the Congress you've had so far?
It's been a really interesting Congress and conference. I'm blown away by all the great companies and VCs, and been to a couple of super sessions, really interesting insights. Talked to a lot of interesting people, Sunstone, Navigara, some deep tech startups. So yeah, I'm very satisfied.
And Jonas, why is it important for a company like BioStock to attend such a conference?
I think it's a natural thing that we cover. This is one of the biggest events for the life science industry in Scandinavia. So, and it's a nice mixing bowl for, like Felix mentioned, it's companies, it's venture capitalists, investors, big pharma here. So for us, it's been a great experience to meet different stakeholders in the ecosystem.
And we behind us we have the exhibition stage where the winners were just announced for the grant awards. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, the Nordic Star Awards is a pitch competition, you could say, for early companies, startups. And this year they had narrowed it down to 30 pitch companies. So there had been a lot of applicants, supposedly. And well, as you mentioned, we just heard who won the award, and it was called Novo Therapeutics. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, and please excuse me if I pronounce it wrong. But the fun part is that they had a panel of investors, industry specialists, who were both giving feedbacks to the pitching companies and also then finally deciding which company was the most investable. That was the criteria for this award, for the Nordic Star Award. And Stefan Kriskau of AVentures mentioned when he presented the award, all 7 jury members were aligned on the decision of the winner. So that was basically, you could say that is a really investable company. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the name again. But good luck to them, and it's going to be very interesting to follow their journey going forward.
Absolutely. So a clear-cut winner there. Felix, just to wrap things up, just your general feelings about the conference here, and maybe something we're looking forward to for BioStock, in upcoming events that we want to go to.
My general feeling is I'm really excited after being here. I'm also a bit tired after 2 to 3 days working non-stop, but it's fun. I'm always excited for our events. Next year we have pretty exciting stuff in the pipeline, something in the spring, and also, of course, the BioStock Summit in the fall. So we stay tuned for that, and that's all.
Yeah, so much going on and in the future for BioStock. So keep following us, and we hope to see you at one of our future events.